Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to the 131st episode of the Philly Blitz Pod. I'm your host, Pierre Baptiste, joined by Mr. Marquell Fripp Owens. Brother, how are you doing?
Rubber dub 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 to those who celebrate. It is I, the one and only Marquell Fripp Owens. As always, it is always birds, bees, sunshine here in Philadelphia. As you can see, we are two man in it today. We're
We just
without our
we just
third.
can't get right, bro. We just can't get right, man.
Yeah, sounds familiar. Makes sense we talk about a specific football team. But hey, we're without our third. It's hilarious because I'm not sure how many of you guys follow him on Instagram, but he posted a portrait today of him from his high school, college, all them ball days. And at the bottom, it was the Hindu hammer. And I said, oh boy, my boy just hit a flashback from the past once he seen that. He thought he could go back to the glory days or something.
This man went in the gym and tried to be Scott Steiner, bro. This man tried to lift everything.
Man said, I'm about to get back in my prime today. There's no slow walk. We do it today. But it's always a pleasure to be here, man. Always a pleasure to talk to you guys, talk some birds, man, especially coming off a victory. Once again, we sitting here talking about a game that wasn't the prettiest, but like I said in the last part, sometimes you just have to be appreciative for certain things.
Yeah, so let's start with the defense. I want to start with the good first, man. I can't I don't want to start the pod off talking about
The
that.
good is crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
He just
Let's
put them in a box. All the aura has disappeared.
yeah. And I believe it was the Athletic Football Show who on their pod this week they said that the Eagles have a way of dragging teams into the deep end and drowning them and
Yeah,
kind of like
it's
bludgeoning them like with
kind
the
of like I've been saying for the last 365 days plus. Whether you want to talk about them, me calling them the anaconda, or the boa constrictor. That's what it was. The boa constrictor just wraps around you, and it's a slow, painful death. Or you want to talk about the boxing analogy, where I say these guys are 12 round fighters, and they let you hang around, sometimes to their own fault, but they let you hang around and they just trying to take you into the deep waters. Once we get past the seventh round, where we in championship rounds, now it's time to come play our game. And in the end, it always seems to prevail for them some kind of way, but it's never pretty. It's never pretty.
yeah, it's like the offense is an issue. That's like undoubtedly it's an or at least the passing offense. It's an issue undoubtedly, but like they're clearly capable of like bringing teams down to their level and making them bend to their will. Like that's 2 weeks in a row we've seen them like legit shut down these high flying offenses that have come into the game averaging 300, 400, 500 yards a game, and they line up against this defense and they get freaking worked, bro. Worked.
I mean, yes and no. I don't want to say it like that to take anything away from Vic Fangio and what them guys have been doing defensively over the last few weeks because they've been freaking phenomenal, man. Freaking phenomenal. That being said, we've talked about over the last few pods, through the preview pods, through all the games, when you talk about these teams specifically, and discuss what has been going on with them offensively, like Green Bay, for example. It's very similar to what's going on in Philadelphia, square pegs and round holes, trying to run the ball, can't really run the ball. I mean, I don't understand why they take the ball out of Jordan Love's hands as much as they do, but I mean, he also didn't have much to work with in terms of who he was throwing the ball to. Then you fast forward to this week where it's a conversation we'll get to in a few. But man, as I said to you guys when we were talking in the group chat during the game, they were going to be the death of their own selves. They were aggressive to a fault, and even beyond their aggression.
You talking about the Lions, right?
Yeah,
We can't just say they were aggressive, bro. Dan Campbell is insane. What is wrong with that man?
look, all I can say is we spent years talking about the similarities between he and Sirianni, and it's crazy.
Nick ain't Nick ain't that bad, bro.
Nick, we can't erase history. There was a point in time Nick was that bad. There were a few games, not only
The
just this
man went
season,
for it on
but
fourth
last
down
year.
5 times in
There
the
were a
game.
few games, man, where we sit here and say Nick is actively trying to lose us this football game. What the hell is going on? The decisions were so mind-boggling. Now, thankfully, he has went on the rampage of this conservatism. I mean, he still goes for it on his fourth downs every now and then. So there's that. But in terms of how aggressive he used to coach the football game, or have his play callers coach a football game, it's a stark difference, to say the least. So to see these two match up, and as I continue to point out, man, the differences in their approach, especially offensively, man. You talk about a Lions team who their offensive line was pretty banged up. You went into a game without a second week in a row. We faced the NFC North team that went into a game without arguably their most productive player offensively in the tight end. And yeah, of course, the Lions they star-studded, man. Amon-Ra, Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs is a dude, man. He was a dude. There's no way you can. I watched that game, and of course, there was the part of me that's like, God damn it, tackle him. I hate it. Tackle him. But then there's that part of me that's the football fan, like, God damn, he's a dude, man. He's a freaking dude. But even beyond all that, the game was always going to come down to, like, it was my matchup of the game, Jared Goff versus Philadelphia. Not just the city of Philadelphia, but Jared Goff versus the weather. Jared Goff versus the intense defense around him. It was all going to accumulate into what we seen.
Yeah, man. Like, and the way they made Goff, like, they legit just suffocated him. Like, it was insane to watch. Like, the dude, you could clearly see he was rattled. Like, it was the Sam Darnold. I'm seeing ghosts.
Yeah, and it's so crazy because I was talking to my guy Brock, Sports Illustrated, Rams. Maybe we'll see you guys down the line again.
Little flex,
but
Sports Illustrated, little flex. I feel you.
Little something. But I was talking to him, and he was like, "Man, there was no way Detroit was going to win this game on the road." And I just talked about Jared Goff, and I was talking to him about their game. Like, man, Sam Darnold's out there seeing ghosts again, huh? And for us to see that just a few hours later, watching Jared Goff, what happened to him, like, I got a few stats for you guys that I came across as I was doing prep for the pod. And all I can say is, my goodness, I don't know if this is like ode to the Eagles defense or damn, he was bad, man. And I mean, you could see this in real time. Like, he was not having a good game, but he was bad, brother. Like, for some context, Jared Goff completed just 2 of his last 20 pass attempts. So he was 2 for 18 to finish the game. Jared Goff came into the game, the league's leader in completion percentage. I think it was like 70% or something of that nature. Well, he finished with a career low 38%.
Oh, it was 38?
38%, man.
Jeez.
Like, it was so bad that this marks the lowest completion percentage for a Lions quarterback with at least 37 passing attempts since 1988. It was horrible, brother. It was horrible. Like,
but that's kind of been the MO on this Lions team, and particularly him for his whole career. If you get him out of his element in cold weather, in a hostile environment, he's gonna fold.
Yeah, I do think that. It's also, I mean, well, let's finish talking about Goff first, and I'll bring this up. For Goff, you talk about a guy where, well, I guess I can't bring this up without bringing this part up. So hell. What really makes this Lions, we know we talk about this Lions team, Dan Campbell, the 2-headed monster, Sonic and Knuckles in the backfield, especially with the way they have been using Jahmyr Gibbs recently. It was supposed to be like a return to heaven, for lack of a better term. And to see this stat, again, the Lions, what are they, 10 games in? This is week 11. The Lions are 6-0 in games that they rush for over 100 rushing yards. In games that they don't, they're 0-4. Now, of course, they didn't rush for over 100 rushing yards here. Now, what makes that important is because with being able to run the ball comes play action. and he was quality during play action. You could clearly see the Eagles respected the running game. But when the Eagles got ahead and forced him into a pure drop back passing situation without play action passes, he was 9 for 26 on the night, 1 for 13 under pressure. And what made it so beautiful is we talked last week about how Fangio dialed back the pressure a little bit against Jordan Love. Well, it was something similar. It was probably in the range of from some of the earlier games that we've seen, but he dialed back the pressure a bit here, where it was just 36% of the dropbacks that Goff were blitzed on. And during those plays, he was 4 for 13.
Do you have the numbers on like if it was simulated pressures or like was it like called blitzes?
Those were called blitzes. So anytime when I say he was blitzed on, it was 5+ rushers.
Okay.
So here when you like you said, man, when you can get him in these situations, I talked about on the pregame pod his passing, his completion percentage, specifically on the road or outdoors. And then when outdoors, when the weather becomes a specific number or under a specific number, and I believe he was at 60% weather, 50 degrees below. And you're talking about a game where, hell, the weather clearly impacted the game, whether it was no rain or nothing. The wind was crazy. I think they said it was 35 miles per hour. It was horrible out there. So when you already have to worry about the wind, and then you got a defense that's building insane pressure coming from all different angles, man, you could start talking with the guys in the interior, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, probably the best game of the season for those two guys, man.
Hell of a game from JD, man.
What did I call it in the group chat?
I don't even remember. Let me check. Keep talking. Let me check.
But just for Jordan Davis specifically, man, talk about coming into your own, to play the amount of snaps that he did, to be as impactful as he did, not only just as a run stopper, but as a pass rusher. And even if you couldn't get to the quarterback, putting your hands up, making sure he had 2 swatted passes in this game, 3 swatted passes in this game. He significantly impacted, and it was impacted early on. I think Jalen, he had the first one.
You called it the Peloton payoff game.
Yeah, the Peloton payoff. That was exactly what this was, man. All the work that he had put in up to this point accumulated to this. These are the kind of games that you wanted to see him impacting in. And there was one thing where you and I specifically, we talked about what Jordan Davis is doing this job. He can be better for sure, but his impact isn't shown on the stat sheet. It was on the stat sheet this week, baby.
And I think that's been the next step for him, right? Like, he's shown flashes before this season. He's shown flashes like, yeah, he can rush the passer, he can do it. But now we're actually seeing it come into form, and you can put numbers. You can be quantified.
And it's just fun to see that defensively. And I mean, like I said, you could talk about the work. We mentioned those two. Moro Jomo had himself a day. Like, the interior alone made an impact in this game. But then you can't mention the Philadelphia Eagles defense without mentioning Jay Philly, the newest acquisition, man.
Look, brother. I don't know how much more I can keep standing on my soapbox and telling you people do not realize how good this dude is, bro. And I've said it since they've acquired him, but he is damn good, man. He is so good. He had his first sack of his career with the Eagles, or first sack with the Eagles, 2 quarterback hits, 5 tackles. Like I said last week, man, he raises the ceiling for this unit so much, bro. So much, man. And
like I talked about last time we all three had a chance to be here together, with how he allows Fangio to do a bunch of different things defensively, about where he's aligning him. But just straight numerical run defense, pass defense, he's been felt overall. And I mean, I think the team came out today. I don't remember if it was Nick or if it was Vic that spoke today, but it came out today and basically said that Nolan Smith has been on the pitch count, which is why he hasn't been balls to the wall, as our one and only Parth would say.
It makes sense.
Yeah, it makes, of course. And first and foremost on that, just here we are still talking about a taxing total of a Super Bowl season. We're in week 11, week 12 of the next year, man. Guy tore his bicep in the Super Bowl, and it's still affecting him the next season, man. Still affecting him. So just gracious goodness. Gracious goodness.
Yeah, but on Jalen Phillips, man, he was a missing piece, bro. He was clearly the missing piece for this unit to put it all together. Like they have all the versatile pieces at linebacker and Jihad and Zach Bond and Kobe. They have again Kobe, the thumper at linebacker, the coverage guy in Jihad. They got the corners in Quinyon and Cooper. Hell, even Dory Jackson looked like a freaking
So
starter.
I want to talk about him too. I'm trying to remember who I was listening to. I think it was Mina Kams that I was listening to that might have brought this up. It was an interesting tidbit. It was cool to hear. But shout out to Vic Fangio, Big Zen being Big Zen. Sounds like they've been using Quinyon Mitchell a bit more on the short sides of the field, like in this game specifically. And it was funny hearing that because she was sitting there with Dominique Foxworth, who's a cornerback himself. So I really wanted to hear his input on it because you've been in that situation. And he said this is basically the same thing. It's interesting to see that because when you talk about the differences, like basically at this point, you're talking about how players cover routes and how much space they got to work with. Usually when you talk about a cornerback and you're giving him more space to work with, that's not good. That's not good. That means you got to cover more space. But usually when you work in the boundary, you're only going to see certain amount of routes. And the quarterback, it takes longer for the quarterback to drive the ball over there. So it allows him to break on routes quicker. Well, not quicker, but he's not getting beat immediately because he didn't break on the route quicker. So they've been doing little tiny things to try to help him. And I mean, it's worked. We talked about last week how he got targeted and he ain't give up the many yardages, but he's been doing this thing over the last few weeks, man.
And not only that, bro, you see him getting in the mix and like physically breaking up passes. It's just not quarterbacks overthrowing the receivers or just off target. My boy getting his hands on the ball
We
and
looking at you,
everything.
Shannon Sharp, talking about some throw the ball at whoever the Dory Jackson's covering. And they did. And they did. Now what? As the kids would say, take me through there. Take me through there. And get nothing out of this. You get nothing out of this, buddy.
I'm making that a rule. Well, man, before we get into the offense, just kind of taking inventory of where the Eagles are with the win over the Lions, they moved into sole possession of first place, and no, they're tied with the Seahawks, right? Yeah, they think they're tied. No, not Seahawks. Rams.
Well, they
No, they
should
beat
be
the
tied because
Rams.
they beat the Rams, so they should be in sole possession.
Yeah, okay, yeah, they're in sole possession, first place in the NFC, right? Wins over the Rams, Buccaneers, Lions. All of these are gonna help them a ton if it comes to tiebreakers or just anything like that. Like the road to the Super Bowl, it's looking like it's gonna go through Philly again.
Yeah, man. And trying to remember where I seen this stat at. Sorry, I apologize if you see this clip or if you're watching this pod that I can't give you credit. I want to give you credit, but I can't remember where I seen this stat at. But it's pretty amazing. Like you talked about the quarterbacks that this defense has played over the course of the season up to this point. I think I just seen a second ago the Eagles had the fourth hardest schedule in the league heading into the year. But the quarterbacks that this defense has played, and I believe they said that they've allowed a 58% completion percentage on the season and have allowed just 9 touchdowns. It might have been Eric Eagle, now that I'm thinking about it, that posted this, but have allowed just 9 touchdowns on the year. And again, here we are. They've allowed less passing touchdowns than the amount of weeks that we've played. Like it's crazy when you talk about y'all. You guys talked about could this defense be better than the defense last year? And I said I wasn't ready to take it there, but I'm still not ready to take it there. But this defense is good, man.
Listen. I texted in the chat, man. I think we were if we ain't there, we damn close to it, man.
I'll accept damn close. I don't think like last year's was historically freaking good. Historically freaking good.
So let me ask you this. Jalen Phillips at his absolute best, does he give you more or is he better than what Josh Sweat gave you?
At his absolute best? No. Well, so? it's a funny question. It's a funny question. It depends on what you value. And I guess I kind of showed what I value based on my answer. But even to this day, with Josh Sweat, you get sacks. Josh Sweat's production shows up on the stat sheet. He gets to the quarterback. Even in Arizona right now, I think he has like 9 sacks on the year or something like that. He's doing this thing. Jalen Phillips doesn't always get to the quarterback. Like I said when he first got here, he's another line of the guys. He just joined the bucket of guys who we ain't gonna get there, but we'll create pressure. See, the thing about it is, I don't know what it is about him that has made just enough impact where they're still not, well, they are getting there, but they're getting there. Nobody specific is getting there. Like no one player is dominating the play, but they're all almost getting home. And well, I got to run from this guy. Like take the sack that Jalen Hunt got, for example. Oh no, Jalen Phillips is in my face. I got to run away. Oh no, now Jalen Hunt is right here. I'm sacked. Like, it all trickles down and work together, which wasn't happening prior. They were all almost getting there, but then you see the quarterback stepping up in the pocket and escaping. Right now they're working well off each other. So, but with Sweat, I think his impact has showed up more on the stat sheet.
Yeah, but that begs the question of like, which do you value more? Do you value
That's why I
one
said
individual player wrecking the game, or do you value more so control chaos? Like we coming at you from all angles, like you gonna feel us.
I mean, I guess that's an interesting way to look at it because that's not how I look at it. I look at it more as what do you value? Like it's a funny conversation going on and analytics FC. What do you value more? Stats. I mean, that's sacks or pressures. And some coaches will tell you they don't really want the sacks. The pressures are fine with them. I think they are BSing you when they tell you that because who doesn't want
Definitely.
the sacks? But
I mean, that's been a debate. I remember that debate years ago, like even before Sirianni got here, when Doug was still coaching the team.
So right when you talked about Schwartz keeping the third man, I mean the extra man in the box compared to them playing too high, things of that nature. So you're right, but that's how I always viewed the conversation. But to hear how you posed it, I mean,
I think it's different for the Eagles also because you have a coordinator in Vic Fangio who's kind of focused on creating or developing that sort of controlled chaos feel. Versus it's not the same for every team.
Vic Fangio at his best is focused on creating that controlled chaos. And I don't want to say at his best because, again, last year's defense was historically freaking good. Probably the best defense he's ever had to work with, arguably, but probably. But that being said, last year he didn't have to create controlled chaos. Like we always said, we worked from back to front last year. So we let our secondary do their thing, and we're going to let our individual pass rushers win. Whether it was Sweat or Graham or Smith, we just let you guys do your thing and you win. And down the line, it continued to work out for us. But now when you look at this team, I do think he does a good job of allowing everybody to get more involved based off each other. And again, when you have certain players that allows you to do those kind of things, it's an interesting question. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, but just kind of shift gears to the offense. It's to me the way I phrase it in my notes. You can clearly see the differences in terms of the two units with the defense, where you see the details and the coaching points and the execution by the players. Like, I don't know if you had a chance to listen or read what Jordan Davis said, but he talked about Clint Hurt and how in the lead up to this game in the film study, they like intently watched Jared Goff in his throwing motion and how Goff had the tendency to throw the ball at a tighter angle.
It's not even just
focus.
that, man.
Wait. Let me finish setting the table. Yeah. And the Lions offense, with how much they target the middle of the field on the crossers and end breakers and everything like that. And that led to them having the coaching point of, hey, when you see him like about to throw it over the middle of the field, like when you see him holding on to the ball, get your hands up. And I led to 5 pass breakups between Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. And so it's like you see the execution and communication in terms of how at the second level, pre-snap, the post-snap, they flash down or they give you those sim pressure looks. They exchange at the last second. You see it developing on the back end where there's less coverage bust and more of the guys passing things off, communicating. And then you watch the offense, and it's just like they can't do nothing.
Brother, like I'm listening to you talk, and all I could think about, I was on my way home from work. I think it was yesterday. and I was listening to N'Kobe Dean's interview post game. He came on the Sunday Night Football set, and they was asking him a bunch of things. Shout out to Rodney Harrison, who had to ask him, "Hey, bro, how much you weigh? Like, you're a little dude, but you pack a punch behind you."
Bro,
Like,
he thumps. He
but
thumps.
just listening to N'Kobe talk, he almost got into too much detail. He didn't. He stopped himself. They tried to bait him into too much detail. He like, I can't give y'all all that now. But he talked about how it was a play where I'm trying to remember exactly which play it was specifically, but basically somebody was once they double team, they work how the Lions work the double team combo up to the second level, and he was like, basically, once I seen them work the double team, I just knew immediately to shoot the gap because run coming this way, it didn't really matter where the doubles because it was basically a duo play. So double teams across the board, waiting for somebody to move up to the second level. But he didn't. He was like, man, the hell with that. We're not gonna be patient because we seen on film that once they hit that double team, that's exactly what's coming. And he was like, well, it was also something else with the right guard that showed me I knew it was coming. And they was like, well, what did he see? He was like, I can't tell you too much. Basically, like, if we see them down the line again, I got to keep this in my back pocket, buddy. But just to hear you say what you said, if me say
And not even and wait, before you go, not even just that, like even last week, you see Moro Jomo calling out the inside zone from the Packers.
mm-hmm.
And it's just like the detail and the code, yes, and you can clearly see the differences. You can clearly see it.
You know why? That's the difference between a guy who's been in this thing for over 2 decades and somebody who's wet behind the ears, as Vic would say.
That's true. That's why I'm a proponent of, and I think Tyler sent a tweet in the chat earlier today, but that's why I'm a proponent of giving play calling to Scott Loeffler. Just somebody who has some sort of experience, man. They need it because you can clearly tell. And I don't like putting it all on one person's shoulders, but this is a KP issue, bro. It's so clear, man.
It starts with KP. I've said for weeks, it's not just a KP issue. KP has done some nice things where it's like, oh, cool. Like you can see the growth that he's made from week 1 to this point.
It's just
at the same time of that being said, your staples don't look good, brother. I don't know what staples.
What staples?
You almost got a swear jar out of me, buddy. You almost. Ooh, that F-bomb was gonna be like. What staples? Why the hell do the Eagles run hitch routes at such an absurd rate? That's staple. Every single play has a hitch route attached to it. And what makes it worse is, like, again, I think it was Eric Eagle that pointed this out on Twitter. My boy been on the road last couple of days. Make sure y'all give my man a look. But what makes it worse is they sitting there, they lead the league by a wide margin. And the amount of times they run hitch. And they don't even throw the ball on time. Hitch only works when you throw the ball on time. So you basically wasting the route. You just got somebody out there. The defense know you're not going to throw it. So it's like, Or even then, if you're going to do what they did against the Lions and run 4 hitches across the board. And them they sitting there like, oh, we seen this on film. You watch the man coverage tape, you just sitting there, all lines played. Jack Campbell, a linebacker in the middle of the field. Bro, oh, they running a hitch. I'm on that. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is bad. This is what made it even worse.
That's where it's like, where are the answers?
There are no answers right now.
Why are you not helping your quarterback?
What makes you
and people want to sit on post game shows, and all due respect to the veteran reporters, of course, I would never disrespect any one of them. All due respect to them, but
OGs before me,
I'd never. But you want to point fingers at Jalen and say this is a Jalen issue, and the players are open and they're watching the film, and why is it Jalen? Where? Show me the film where the guys are open, please.
I don't know. So I'm gonna say this first because I don't want to forget it. And like you said, show me the film where guys are open. It pisses me off because even the first play of the game, they went heavy, ran hard play action from under center. The linebackers clearly bit, but there wasn't one route to the middle of the field. Not one. not one route in the middle of it. It's like, well, what the hell did you run play action for?
Come on, man.
If you wasn't going to attack where play action would help you at, like, come on, bro,
And
it's
it's
beyond
like
me.
they're back to doing things with no rhyme or reason. They just call stuff. There's no sequencing. There's no consistency. There's no cohesiveness. There's no answers. It isn't executed well. I don't know, bro. I don't know.
I mean, what frustrates me the most is, and I'm not sure who the autonomy comes down to about this. I mean, maybe Nick Sirianni, but I mean, if you don't call plays, why should you control personnel? I don't know. It's a funny question, but why the hell is Grant Calcaterra going out there for 34 snaps, bruh?
Come on, bro.
34 snaps. And I don't have a problem with Grant Calcaterra going out there for 34 snaps. I have a problem when 30 of those snaps are being used on him as being a blocker.
Brother.
When you only played Cameron Latu one time, bro.
There was a play in this game where they asked Colin Granson to block Aiden Hutchinson one-on-one. What are we doing? Please, what are we doing?
Like, shout out to the guy. I just seen this on Twitter almost like maybe an hour before we got on. But he came up with like the greatest nickname I've probably ever seen in my life. At first, when I was reading it, I was like, what the hell? And then I said it out loud, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good. Can't block a terror. Like, gracious.
But even that's a coaching thing to me, because it's like I tweeted earlier today. As coaches, why are you consistently asking players to do things you know they aren't equipped to do?
Because why should we ask Colin? Why should we ask? Hell, use Colin Granson too. But why should we ask Cameron Latu to come on as the tight end when we run split zone for Saquon Barkley in the red zone and he gets to the 1 yard line because he finally has a tight end that's going to block for him, making the key block through the hole that he runs through? That doesn't make sense, right?
And it's like, your job as coaches is to put the players in positions to succeed. They're actively not putting them in positions to succeed, bro.
Like, buddy. And y'all want to sit here and talk to me about AJ Brown and him quitting on routes or shit.
Hey, man.
You almost got me again. Almost got me again.
Now that he did slow up on the route, I'm not gonna lie, he did, but that's not the main issue here. That's not the main issue here. We got bigger fish to fry.
Like we talked about in the chat, man. I don't think. Well, clearly he did something because he stopped running, but I don't think it was a slow up on the route. I just think, like he said last time, if you get to a certain part of the route, you look back and the ball's still in the guy's hands. You're like, oh my gosh. And I'm not saying this is Jalen's fault, but I do think it was one of those timing issues where, I mean, you always, like we said the first time, you always finish a play. They taught you that in the Little League, buddy. You always finish the play. But the timing is just not been there. Now, I understand why the timing's not been there. Like, shout out to Parth, who, of course, isn't with us today. I've seen him having a conversation on the timeline today. Tom Stakes. We're talking about how AJ has been used and just the utilization in general. And when you look at whether it's just his route chart from this year compared to last year, or just
it's a clear difference. It's a clear difference.
The targets and all how it matched up from against the rest of the league and all, like, it's a massive difference. It's not just a clear difference, brother. It's a massive difference. Like, this is not fun to talk about. I mean, we like to say all the time that content is the best when the team struggles because it always gives you something to talk about. But it's not fun to talk about because I feel like that meme when the guy's sitting in the mirror like, no, because he knows what's about to happen next. And all I can think about with us having this conversation is the optimism. And did it come with struggles? Yeah. But the optimism, when you talk about Kellen Moore and how he utilized the guys, the crossing routes, the motion. And yeah, they still rank low in motion. And I mean, we've seen our fair share of crossing routes. We'd love to see more, but we see more than our fair share. Like just little things where none of that is present. None of it. And it was
Bro,
like we back to
they
square one.
they do nothing to give them the upper hand. Like literally in this game, they did the exact same stuff they've done all year. Hitch routes, deep shots, static, isolated routes that don't like work off of one another. No stacks, no bunches, no motion, no
I mean, it's a
misdirection,
little bit of motion,
no
but
like
no motion with a
they don't
purpose.
yeah, there's no attempt to like manipulate or dictate or like anything that'll get the defense you're facing thinking. There's nothing to manipulate spacing, nothing. It's literally just, oh, we got AJ Brown, Devontae Smith. Our guys are better than yours. We gonna win our one-on-ones. You cannot coach like that, man. You can't.
I mean, again, like I continue to say, because I agree with most of what you're saying until you get to that last point. I do think there are times they try to do different things. It's just,
Consistency.
yeah, but how do you ask for consistency for something that you don't allow people to do often? You can't just sit here and say, oh, damn, it's 3rd and 3. I need a first down now. Let's call the stuff that used to work. When we've been sitting here like, bro, we ain't called this play in like 4 weeks. We don't even practice this. Like, you just shooting it on the fly. Like, how is this helping anybody? It's pretty frustrating. It is, and I've been the biggest Kevin Patullo supporter, man. I've been the biggest Kevin Patullo supporter.
I was right there with you. I was right there with you, bro. I got articles to prove I was right there with you. But this dude, man, I don't think he got it. I
It's
don't.
it only, man, dude. Like
Like, bro,
AJ Brown has
it is
been
about to
trying.
be. It's about to be what, week 12? Week 12. It is. Let me check the date. It's November 18th. Thanksgiving is next week, and we are still sitting here having these same conversations. These same conversations.
I
And
mean,
it's
it's
not
like a
like the
silver lining.
personnel, but it's not like the personnel's not there. It's not like it's been injuries or nothing like that. You have two of the best wide receivers in the league. And week to week, this offense just looks lackadaisical. No rhyme or reason. No cohesion.
Do you think AJ Brown's healthy?
I can't remember if it was a tweet or TikTok, but I did see something about that, and I don't think he's 100% healthy. I don't. Even still, bro. Even still, it should not be this hard on a week to week basis to have a productive
Let me
week.
rephrase the question because I think this is about where I've seen a lot of people at. Do you think AJ Brown's not healthy? Or do you think AJ Brown's lost a step?
Honestly, I think it's a combination of both. I think it's a combination of both. If you look at sort of I guess you could call them advanced metrics, but in terms of like his yards run per route and all of those different things like that, like it's the lowest of his career.
But you don't
Like
think that,
things that are independent of like coaching or schematics, it's the lowest of his career.
but you
And
don't think
I don't know
health
if I
has
say he
a play minute?
yeah, that's what I'm about to say. I don't know if I'd more so say that he's lost a step, but whatever injury that he had in training camp that caused him to miss like 2 weeks, and then you saw him have the hamstring injury that he pulled up with against the Vikings. It's clear that something is hampering him. It's clear. But again, you still have pieces outside of him. It should not be this difficult to scheme up a competent offense.
I mean, but if we, I don't want to say if we're being honest, but for lack of a better term, if we're being honest, they've shown an ability to scheme up a competent offense. It just results in everybody but him eating. And we could have the conversations about because we talking about his route tree during the game, and I do think his the selection, how they utilizing him is very interesting. Very interesting. You're not allowing him to be him at all. But I do question how much of that is y'all saving him from himself, and how much of that is it that he just can't do physically right now, and how much of that is just is my play caller incompetent. Because I mean, while Kevin Patullo is learning, and we're all mad at him, like we've all said since the start, Kevin Patullo's been here since the beginning. He's seen Shane Steichen. He's seen Kellen Moore. He knows the brain trust of the offenses over the last 4 or 5 years. So I think he understands the buttons to press to get this guy going, which is what makes all of this so puzzling. I mean, I understand when you got so many bodies and only one football, and you're trying to be a play caller, and it's the game flow. Things can only happen a certain way, but I don't know. This whole thing just seems strange to me.
It's extremely, extremely strange. Very, very strange. I mean, I don't know, bro. I genuinely, I don't have the words. I don't know what to say. It just shouldn't be this hard, man. It shouldn't be this hard.
You would think it could all be so simple. Well, for some good and some bad, we talked about Jared Goff and his struggles. And I mean, I can't sit here and say Jared Goff played horrible, but then look at you in the straight face and say, but the weather was the reason Jalen Hurts ain't play good though. And I do think the win ate a couple of those passes for sure. It definitely said it was like but it just wasn't the best Jalen Hurts game, man. Jalen Hurts was 9 for 21 himself when he didn't have play action attached to his plays. He was 5 for 7 with it. Probably should use that more.
How many of those account for the drops?
Give me 1 second. I can get you that answer. But
While you find that, I'll get back on my soapbox about the whole veteran reporter and the point that they had. They also mentioned that this is showing signs of Carson Wentz Part Two. I think if that's your point or like takeaway, you've completely lost the plot. We've completely lost the plot when we bring up Carson Wentz in comparison to Jalen Hurts. There is no comparison there at all.
there were 3 drops. So, I mean, it sucks. But if you take those 3 drops away, I mean, guess that brings him to above 50%, but not really a respectable metric. Take the 3 drops away, he's 9 for 18, exactly 50% without play action.
Still not good enough.
Right. But not only that, the real stressful part about it, we talked a couple weeks ago about if you're Nick Sirianni, your whole thing is I want to win the turnover battle and I want to win the explosive play battle. Can't win explosive plays when you would play conservative, but you decide to try to get out your conservatism in almost the worst weather game you played in all season. And in result, you have Jalen Hurts, who was 1 for 7 on passes, 20 plus yards down the field, compared to him being 10 for 15 on passes, one between 1 and 9 yards, or as we would call short passes. Like, again, like we said, doing things to help your quarterback.
It's non-existent. Non-existent. And it's like, excuse me, it's like by proxy, like the design of the offensive passing game, like it causes the tight window throws and it causes like all the off target throws in terms of that. Like the route concepts, they cause the tight window throws because there's nothing working off of each other. It's all isolated. The lack of schemed open looks, it causes Jalen to hold on to the football because there's nowhere for him to go with it. So I don't know, man. This offense is depressing, bro. It's very, very depressing. And again, it should not be this way when you have the talent that they have on this unit.
All right, that's the like. It's sad to say. It's sad to say, especially because this is the next opponent. And it sounds nasty when I say that out loud. It sounds nasty when I say it in my mind. But the last 3 or 4 Cowboys games I've had the chance to watch, I'm not gonna lie, I've been jealous, man. And I mean, hey, we've been winning, so what can you say? I'd rather win than anything. But I'm not gonna lie, to watch how they operate offensively, it's like they just sit here and say, "Who's gonna get the ball now?" It's like I watched them on that first drive get CD that they was like, "Who's gonna get the touchdown?" And it was CD, and then they actively came back on the next drive and said, "It's gonna be your turn now, George," and they fed him until he scored, and then they dove around and went to Ferguson. It's like everybody eats, me. Everybody eats. And it'll be beautiful if we could see some of that in Philadelphia. I mean, we did at a certain point. I think we still could. Did,
So let me ask you this before we get into big picture takeaway. Do you think if they change the play call, which I doubt if they're going to do this, but they changed play calling and gave it to Scott Loeffler, do you think we see a difference? That is a long pause, brother.
it is. I almost gave an immediate answer, but I thought about it clearly, but no. And it's not that I don't think Scott will be better at. Like it's one of those being stuck in the rock between the rock and the hard place things. If you're the Eagles, do I think Scott would be a better answer for this team? Yeah, but if you were going to make that decision, you
You would have
almost way
made it
too
weeks ago.
far. Yeah, you too far to turn back now. At this point, all you can see is 2023, and we keep running from the metric. And
The
I
difference,
don't think
but
this is 2023. But
no. The difference is this defense isn't going to explode.
yeah, you're
Difference.
right. But it's
I mean,
so
if you and I've thought it was interesting when people bring up 2023 because if you really look back at it, like yeah, there were complaints about Brian Johnson and he wasn't good. He wasn't at all. But statistically, they were still near the top of the league
statistically,
in a
the
lot of
Eagles are
metrics.
always in near the top of the league because they're a good football team. The Eagles ranking within the top 10, and I hate saying stuff like this because it makes us sound like such a spoiled fan base, and I don't want us to reach that point yet because we're not there. But the Eagles ranking within the top 10 in certain metrics. Like I looked at defensive rankings earlier today, and the Eagles ranked seventh in defense. That's great, but I'm sitting here like, I mean, that's okay. But that's because I seen that defense last year, and I know what great. But that's what happens with good teams. You chase greatness. You chasing the ghost that is almost impossible to catch, and it's going to always be impossible to catch because these teams will never be the same. Sometimes better, sometimes worse, but never the same. And I don't know, just the expectations. So when I say 2023, I don't necessarily think that like the entirety of it, like a implosion. But I do think that, like Parth says all the time, this is a team of two extremes. You either too far left or too far right, as I say. And when you look at what happened in 2023, where they took the chance on young play caller not working, let's go to veteran, it went even worse. I don't think they'd be willing to take that chance on the offensive side of the ball, even though I do think that would probably be the smarter thing to do. I do think their past would haunt them from doing so, and rightfully so. You got to stay the course. You got to let them figure it out. You gave them the job for a reason, and just fire them at the end if it doesn't work.
Yeah. So just to put a bow on it before we get into big picture takeaways, I think, it's clear that this defense is extremely, extremely good, right? Like we say, it raises the ceiling for what this team can be. But it's clear that the offense is holding them back, right? And like we said, it's not a Jalen Hurts issue. It's not an AJ Brown issue. It's not a Saquon issue. The issue is there are philosophical and schematic issues at the core of what they're doing or what they want to do as a passing offense. And until those issues change or are tweaked a bit or whatever you want to call it, but until that's addressed, they're going to continue to look disjointed. They're going to continue to look predictable, and they're going to continue to look out of sync. I think that's just what it is.
Uh, like I said before, it's like being stuck between a rock and a hard place because you understand what this team could be. You also got to respect what this team is at this point in time. You could really go either way, and that's the worst part about it. I mean, that's what makes life and football beautiful because every year is its own year. So we could talk about 2023 and 2024 because right now I'm really stuck in the middle of a spectrum of, yeah, we've told this story before. They could collapse. I don't think they're going to collapse because I think they're too good a football team too. But I think the offense basically it would be the reason that we fall flat. Hopefully, it's not get to the playoffs and lose in the first round or the first game you play kind of flat. But in the same breath of saying that, I also can sit here and say,
They're too
brother,
talented, though.
it's
They're too
not only that they're
talented.
too talented, but I've seen this team, I've seen us have these same kind of conversations. We went into the literal NFC championship game. We sat here and cried and begged to each other like they're not going to be able to win a Super Bowl playing like this. And then all of a sudden, in typical Philadelphia Eagles fashion, just like Nick Foles in 2017, they get to the NFC championship game and the Super Bowl, and they're like, these are the two biggest games of our life. We're going to flip the switch. And it's like, again, unsustainable for sure, for sure. But basically, long story short, I've seen them basically drag me through the mud the entire way just for them to get to the end and be like, oh yeah, we was only doing this because we were just content winning games. If we really had to turn it up a notch, we cool. And I think the players as a whole know that they could do that. I just think that they hate that that's how the coaching staff lives because it's like the equivalent of them basketball teams where they say, well, yeah, they know that they can flip the switch at any time and they can lollygag through the first three quarters, and then the fourth, all they got to do is outscore you and they'll win the game. But what about the game that you don't outscore them? Like you putting your eggs in the one basket right now, and it's not again unsustainable.
Yeah,
But it's also it could work. They've seen it work. They've you sat here, we talk about them against the Lions and aggressive, conservative. And he sat here like, how do you expect Nick Sirianni to stop doing what he's doing when he goes toe for toe against some of the best teams in the league and sit here and say, I won this because I was conservative. With the exception of the Rams game, that's the only game I didn't win because I was conservative. The rest of them, I let you guys beat yourself, literally. And y'all crying and complaining about it, but I keep winning games against big opponents the same way. So why should I change it? And that's the scariest part about all this.
yeah. It's a dangerous world to live in. Very, very, very dangerous world to live in for this Eagles offense. But let's get to big picture takeaway. For the audio listeners, I don't know if you've picked up on it, but we have a graphic before we get into the big picture takeaway. So yeah, we got it. We have to show that off.
That's why
But
we
you want to go
needed the
first?
sound effect, man.
Yeah,
That's
I'm gonna
why I
see if I
did.
can put. Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can put something on it. Pause. That's kind of crazy, but
It's crazy for sure. Yo, it's crazy for sure.
you want to go first, bro?
Yes. My big picture takeaway is what just if this civil war is what the league, what the Philadelphia Eagles need. Not the Civil War in the building. That's not the building one that I'm talking about. Although hopefully that helps too. You know, I talk all the time about football being 100 year civil war and just switch up the concepts and the personnels and the players, but we all recycling everything. For the longest, we talk about Vic Fangio and a lot of his bastardites rolling around the league and the personnel basically being watered down, almost kind of like the Shanahan series. I feel like the Shanahan series is going through what we just went through with Vic and his guys over the last 365 plus days. But the league is kind of caught up to what you're doing. Not caught up because it still works, but we got the ins and outs of how to beat this, and it's become basically we can't keep doing this. But not for Vic though. Not for Vic, because Vic's a special guy. And what if the league has moved on to a point like the Mike McDonald's or some of these guys, what some of these teams are doing defensively, that Vic Fangio just might be here to stay. He just might be like, what if teams are no longer? You look at some of the headaches that he's always caused these Shanahan guys headaches, but just the headaches he's crossed around the league. We talked about a second ago about all of the top quarterbacks that he's played and the headaches he's given all of them. What if these offenses just aren't focused on trying to beat these kind of defenses anymore? And here we are back in the golden age of Vic Fangio with probably the best type of personnel that he could find, which is why you look at a Philadelphia Eagles team that has a, what was it, 32? Might be giving them too much credit. Might be in the 20s, but let's say 22-5 record under Vic Fangio since he's been hired as the defensive coordinator. What if he's the missing link here with all of this? And we talk about trying to get this. We spent all this money on the offense to be generational, and the defense is what we're here for.
That's what we're looking like, bro. That's what it's looking like, at least right now. But for me, my big picture takeaway from this game, the Eagles have the ability to make opposing teams bend to their will. Come hell or high water, they have the ability, like they said on the Athletic Football Show, of dragging teams down to their level and making games ugly, making them nasty, dictating to the opposing offenses. And if they feel like if that's how they got to win, that's how they're going to win. And it's like, if the passing offense could just be competent on a consistent basis, this would be an entirely different football team. We'd be talking about another parade down Broad Street.
We can get there, man. It's just a work in progress. And
I want to believe that. I really want to believe that. I want so badly to believe that.
All it takes is 1 week. And that's is the frustrating but scary part about it is. And I mean, last year we joked about it, like the bye week came at the perfect time and allowed them to let everything click. The bye week came at the absolute worst time this year. In terms of health, we needed it because we had a couple guys we needed to get healthy for sure. Feel great going into that Lions game with having all the players active and practicing and all that cool stuff. Miss you, Lane Wilson. But the offense was operating at a rate we hadn't seen all season before the bye week, and now
it's back to what it was before.
Exactly. Oh my goodness, it's a work in progress. I'd like to think that they'll reach that point again. Let's just hope it's before the playoffs happen, and it's gonna make it even funnier because if all works out well, they'll win the NFC and get another bye week. It then come out in the divisional round and stress us out again.
What you talked about is only taking 1 week, one game. Can't think of any better game for this offense to get it together and get right.
You're not scared of the new and improved
against
defense?
From who, the Cowboys? Dallas?
Yeah. Quinnen Williams, Peyton Wilson.
Peyton Wilson. Yeah. They got Peyton Wilson?
Oh, was that Logan Wilson?
It's Logan Wilson. Logan Wilson.
You're right. I've been getting them mixed up the entire time.
But to answer your question,
the one with no ACLs, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But to answer your question, no, I am not afraid of not afraid of the new and improved Dallas defense.
We can't run the ball anyway. I ain't scared of y'all.
No, that is not true. That is not true. They can run the ball. They just can't run the ball inside.
Which is
anything outside the tackles, they can run the ball.
They try. I don't want to say can. They try.
But that's going to do it for this episode of the Philly Blitz Pod. We're almost an hour in. I think this was a good pod, man. It was a nice, much needed therapy session about this offense. But Thank you to all 65 of you who tuned in. If you're listening after the stream on whichever podcast streaming platform you're listening on, be sure to leave us a like and a review. Rate us 5 stars. We will be back on possibly Thursday, maybe Friday. Either way, we'll let y'all know. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this episode.
Hope
Get well
it's
soon,
Thursday.
Parth. Thursday? You said what?
It gotta be Thursday.
Okay, it has to be Thursday. So we will be back on Thursday to preview the Eagles matchup with the Dallas Cowboys. Get well soon, Parth. Get well soon, brother.
Hopefully.
Please stop trying to. Please
Well,
stop
now
trying
that
to
you
be.
say it like that, it don't gotta be Thursday. More than likely, it'll be Thursday. But just keep your ears to the streets, team.
Yeah, we'll let you know. We'll let you know. But yeah, get well soon, Parth. Please stop trying to be Mark Henry in the gym, brother.
Yes, sir.
But go Birds, everybody.